Hello and welcome to our currently nameless podcast.
That should be our name, nameless.
All right, maybe that'll be it. I am Jeremy Taché.
I'm Genna Mark.
And welcome to our podcast. Eventually, this will have a name. We will when we post all of this, it's gonna have a name. So
we're not so sure about that.
Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So just to tell you a little bit about ourselves before we get started, we won't necessarily do this every time, but this is our first podcast, so this is exciting. I'm Jeremy. I'm 22 years old. I graduated from UCF in May.
You'll never be able to tell that he graduated from UCF. Trust me.
You'll know within this podcast in a few minutes that I am unapologetically a homer for my university. But yeah, and so that's me. Love baseball, love music. I think I'm smarter than everyone else a lot of the time. You'll also figure that out really quick. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Genna, you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm 29. I born and raised in Miami, graduated from the University of Miami. I rock pride for the 305. I bleed 305. Fun fact, I don't think I'm smarter than everybody.
All right, perfect. So this podcast is going to go perfect because I'm just always going to be the pretentious
Jeremy
one.
will always be right, which is not how it's not your usual man-woman dynamic.
I already love the way we've set this up. That's perfect. I'm also from, not necessarily Miami, I'm from Fort Lauderdale, but when I tell people from outside of the South Florida area, I say I'm from Miami because it sounds cooler. I would agree with that. That's the part of me that is the people pleaser. Anyway, we're just going to get right into things for this podcast. Just so you know what we're going to be discussing. We don't know what we're going to be discussing. We're going to be discussing anything that we want. We both love sports, but we're both interested in any given topic on any given day. And so the likelihood is this will be a once-a-week podcast where throughout the week, we're just going to be sending each other a whole bunch of different ideas and saying, what if we talked about that? And then coming in here with no plan and just rambling. That being said... Rambling in a good way.
Okay.
Rambling in a good way. So that being said, we are going to start with the only segment that we have a name for. We're a couple of Jews from Miami, so we're calling it...
I don't think they figured that part out.
Yeah, right? They're we're calling it Bagels and Lox, and the premise of this is going to be talking about different upcoming matchups that are happening within sports. Today specifically, it will be for the NFL playoffs this weekend. Neither of us have even previewed these games with each other, I just realized. But
nope. We may surprise each other.
Yeah, bagels, meaning they have zero chance, like the shape of a bagel, and lox, which if you don't know what lox are, it's like raw salmon. It's
like
really good.
Salmon sashimi, but a little saltier. And
Sure.
Thinner slices of salmon.
We're doing a great job of appealing to the masses here.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Put some cream cheese on the bagel.
It's delicious.
First. It's fantastic.
So
add a tomato on top, too.
Yeah, all right. See, now we're a food podcast. Our first topic was food. But Lox, as in this team, will definitely win. So
and another fun fact, bagel. I'm a tennis player, huge tennis fan, and bagel in tennis means you scored 0. So
I didn't actually. I really legitimately didn't know you played tennis. So we're learning about each other on this podcast today.
So there you go. Bagel actually does stand for something in sports. It's not something we were just like hungry and decided to, incorporate into this conversation.
But we were also hungry. So let's go through. I think the way we can do this is I'm just going to pick a team from the matchup. I'm going to say, you can tell we're really prepared. I'm going to just pick a team from this matchup.
Okay.
Say them to you. And then you're going to tell me whether you think they're a bagel,
or
no chance, or a lock.
But I don't have to say, what I think's,
No, you don't have to tell me what's going to happen. You can just give me any random reason.
All right, because usually when I make picks, I'm wrong, so
so am I. This is going to be, we're giving them the best information that we have right off the bat.
Right.
So how about
Don't go to Vegas after I make these picks.
The Atlanta Falcons are playing at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are the 1 seed. They're without their starting quarterback, Carson Wentz. It's now Nick Foles. I'm going to ask you, are the Falcons a bagel or a lock?
Because they're playing in Philly, I'm going to go with the fact that they're going to be Bagels.
Okay, so you think that just playing in Philadelphia, they got no shot?
Yeah, I mean, they've given up some big leads against teams all season. I just...
That Georgia curse. Just that Georgia curse. Just simply...
Oh my God, your boss is not going to be happy with
it's okay.
that
I don't
statement.
really care. Every football team from Georgia has given up a big lead when it matters right now. I mean, that's just it's happening.
I think that the Eagles are ready, and I think that they've got a good running back who South Florida knows very well.
Yes,
So,
that would be Jay Ajayi, who was just
help.
one part of the massive, horrible wreck of the season that was the 6-10 Miami Dolphins.
Well, if he was a part of the season through the end, it wouldn't have been that much of a wreck of a season. But we'll get to that conversation at a later
Another
point in time.
Another time. Okay. So why don't you pick a game, ask me what I think. That's how this works, I think.
Are we going to stay with the NFL? Well, why don't we?
Yeah. We're just gonna go through the NFL playoffs.
Jaguars play in Pittsburgh against the Steelers.
How about this? The Jaguars are a lock.
Ooh.
The Jaguars are going to win in Pittsburgh, and I want to say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the year of UCF. So where UCF was your national champion.
UCF is in Orlando, not Jacksonville.
It's Orlando. No, I understand, but their quarterback, Blake Bortles, went to the University of Central Florida. Mind you, everyone thinks about UCF as like, oh, they were 0-12 a couple years ago. A couple years before that, they're winning the Fiesta Bowl with Blake Bortles at the helm. So Blake Bortles, who recently compared himself to LeBron James, I don't know if you heard this soundbite, but he said that if there are people that think LeBron James suck, then there are always going to be people who think he sucks.
People think LeBron James.
There are people out there that don't like LeBron. Skip Bayless to be one.
Right. Okay.
So and the Jags.
But that doesn't mean he sucks. Just
no.
Okay.
LeBron James is incredible. I'm not saying that LeBron James is bad.
Blake
Bortles is not a good quarterback. We can all agree. But I love him. He loves himself, and that's all that matters.
And this is coming from Mr. UCF himself.
He's not. He's a fine quarterback. He's not as bad as everyone says, but he's not. He's not a top 10 quarterback in the league, and now he's one of the final 8. But the other part of this that's interesting is Antonio Brown is hurt and just coming back from injury. Ben Roethlisberger seems disengaged for the last 5 seasons.
He doesn't
and
want to be
Le'Veon
there.
Bell just yesterday said that he's willing to hold out next year if they franchise tag him. Like, he's saying that right before a playoff game. I don't know. This team feels like they're a little disengaged, and hot take here. I think of this group of Steelers with Roethlisberger, who's a Hall of Fame quarterback, Antonio Brown, who's arguably a top 5 receiver ever, and Le'Veon Bell, who's arguably a top 5 running back ever, never wins a Super Bowl. It'll go down as one of the biggest, if not the biggest, disappointments of a roster in the history of the NFL. So all of that weighing on the Steelers and no pressure on the Jags with that amazing defense, the Jags are a lock.
So you're saying that the Steelers are going to crumble under pressure?
Yes, I am. Which doesn't make sense because Roethlisberger's been clutch his whole career and these guys are super talented. But the Jaguars are a lock. Book it.
All right. You heard it here first.
All right.
You might be the only person in the country
to
ever say that.
I am the only person, and I believe that Duval represent. All right, well, let's go. All right, Patriots and the Titans. Patriots are at home. Are the Patriots a bagel or a lock?
Patriots are a lock. Come on.
Yeah,
it's Bill Belichick. It's Brady. That whole article that came out, they want to prove everybody wrong, shut everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady is going to, if he can, score every touchdown in this game. I mean, there's no way. The Patriots, without any chip on their shoulder, are a lock. Add that extra.
I wholeheartedly agree with you.
And
I have a
they
question.
may end up winning this whole
thing.
thing.
Going to the more personal side of things, other than the X's and O's of football, what did you make of the whole article in terms of, if you haven't seen this article, listeners, there was an article that came out, I believe it was Seth Wickersham from ESPN, who detailed some of the behind the scenes with the New England Patriots, saying that Brady, seemingly threatened by Garoppolo, went over Bill Belichick's head, went to the owner Robert Kraft and said, you have to trade Garoppolo. In the offseason before, the Patriots did not trade Jimmy Garoppolo, could have gotten a king's ransom for him. Instead, they just traded him for a second-round pick. Garoppolo went on to succeed in San Francisco throughout this year. He's going to command a huge contract this offseason. Brady's still playing at a great level. Belichick's still coaching at a great level. They're still the best team in football. But what did you make of all of this behind-the-scenes stuff?
The article's basically pinning Kraft and Brady and Belichick all against each other,
right.
which it's like, come on. Everyone in any business disagrees at some point on something. But these 3 guys have been so successful for so long. Do you really think they're going to rock the boat with those egos that just want to win? And all that, the only thing that makes all 3 of those guys tick, and even the rest of this Patriots team, is winning. So I don't want to say that the article is like false or anything like that. Like, I don't want to discredit anybody. But do I full-heartedly believe that all of that went down and it's as serious as we're making it seem? No.
Okay.
I think that, yeah, there might have been some conversation had and stuff like that. But I just think to read too much into it isn't the right move here, because it is Brady who, at the end of the day, all that guy wants to do is win. And so does Belichick. I mean, this is no secret to anybody.
Right.
And I think if Brady was really threatened by Garoppolo, I mean, really?
Garoppolo is so handsome.
Okay, he is hot.
He is young and good looking.
But you're Tom Brady. If you are threatened by the second string quarterback, then there's a different issue there.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, you are Tom Brady, Hall of Famer. You're married to Giselle. I mean, whether you're ugly or not, like, what is going on? Look, there's no reason for you to be jealous or feel threatened by that guy.
Yeah, I think everyone at some point comes to a point in their career where they do see the new, young, hot thing and get a little threatened by it. Okay, so
I have a question. Do you think Justin Timberlake is threatened by Justin Bieber, since you are JT?
No. Well, stop. Don't flatter me. No, but it's different. Comparison. It's a little bit different, though, because in that career lasts forever. As long as you want it to, as long as you're producing. In the NFL, there is a time limit. Eventually, that time comes to an end, and as long as you're doing well.
Yeah, but when you're Tom Brady and you're still throwing bombs,
it is different. I think what we can both agree on is that this happened. The reporting is great. This drama probably did happen, but this unit is better at prioritizing than anybody in the history of maybe in the history of professional sports.
I would agree.
So that's why you would say the Patriots are a lock this weekend.
Yeah, and I'm also a Patriots fan in Miami. Yeah.
All right, maybe we shouldn't be doing this podcast together. Moving on.
Come on, I want Gronk to Gronk go off on the field.
I mean,
come on.
No, they're fun. I respect the Patriots.
All right, so last but not least, the Saints march into Minnesota, home of the Super Bowl this year.
I like what you did there. Before I give it whether it's big or lock, I think it's so interesting. No one's rooting for the Vikings.
I know.
Like, no one wants the Vikings to win.
They're like the lone man out in left field. No one's paying attention.
They're so good. Their skill position players are incredibly exciting. So much fun. Adam Thielen is tragically underrated. And Stephon Diggs is fantastic. Latavius Murray, UCF running back, just saying.
So now you guys know who he's going to pick, all right?
No, but this is interesting. And Case Keenum, this guy who spent most of his career just as like a journeyman, like backup quarterback who was fine. And now, because of everything they have, they're this great team. They could play at home in the Super Bowl. Like, they have a relatively easy path in that they got to beat the Saints, but they're at home. And then they could possibly get an Eagles team that's really depleted. Like, we should be rooting for them. They're such a great story, and no one's rooting for them, and neither am I. I want to see the Saints win, and I believe the Saints will win. I think the Saints are a lock, and the reason I say it is because the Saints historically have been really good at home, not on the road. But that's because they've played in a dome. And here in Minnesota, they have a retractable roof, and all reports say that they're going to keep that roof closed. It's going to be playing in a dome this weekend because it's so cold in Minnesota. And with that being said, the Saints have thrived. They have 2 star running backs. They have a great receiver in Michael Thomas. Drew Brees is arguably a top 5 quarterback, if not a top 3 quarterback of all time. He's still playing great.
Top 3 all time.
I truly believe that.
Who's above him?
Brady and Montana. And I think he's better than Peyton Manning. I do.
Oh,
it's a whole thing. We can have that conversation another time.
For next week.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But Drew Brees is incredible. And with that being said, I'm going to trust the guy that I think is the better quarterback, as well as Case Keenum has played. Like, in a game that's sort of a toss-up, that's who I'm going to go with. So, Saints are a lock this weekend.
I agree. I think the experience wins. it for New Orleans.
All right, cool. So
Sorry, Minnesota.
Now you know what to do, and now you know that the NFC Championship game is going to be the Eagles and the Saints in Philadelphia, and the AFC Championship game is going to be the Jaguars traveling to the Patriots.
And the Patriots will beat your UCF champion.
Oh, I know.
Blake
The Patriots
Bortles.
are amazing. Anyway, we'll get to that next week. So, that was your NFL talk. Congratulations. You're smarter now. Moving from the NFL to pop music, because that's what we're going to do on this podcast. Taylor Swift released her video for Endgame.
You know what? It's a perfect segue because she's talking about first strings. She's talking about A-teams.
God.
She's talking about, come on, it lends itself right into that whole conversation.
All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about Taylor Swift's video for Endgame?
Well, you're the self-acclaimed Taylor Swift aficionado.
Oh, I love Taylor Swift. I do. I won't deny it. 22's a jam. We're never getting back together, like ever. That's a jam. That's a jam. I don't love the new album. Sorry, Swifties. All right. I'm not a huge fan of the new stuff.
It'll wear itself on you.
It will eventually. But all right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Endgame?
All right. So Taylor Swift has her song Endgame, which, as I mentioned, talks about being a first string and an A-team and all that good stuff. It's basically saying she wants to be the main person the other person loves. Is that fair to say?
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
So she released her music video for the song, which was shot in no better place, Miami.
305. She should have shot it with Pitbull. It should have been Future. Pitbull should have been in the song.
Yeah, no, she can't Latin dance.
Could you imagine?
Taylor Swift salsa dancing on a boat would be dangerous.
I want to make this happen. Whoever needs to make the executives listening to this podcast, because we know you're listening. Taylor Swift and Pitbull next. Make it happen.
God. Hasn't that happened on stage somewhere once?
I hope so.
That would be disastrous. Anyway, so the music video dropped at midnight last night, and people are going nuts over it. And it's a good song. I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. I like the song. Jeremy doesn't agree with me.
I just don't think the combination of Taylor Swift and Future is something that we ever...
But it has Ed Sheeran on it.
Love Ed Sheeran. He's great. Ed Sheeran and Future could have worked. He's in love with
The Shape of You.
Yeah. Not The Shape of Me. That's for sure. Ed Sheeran's awesome. I love Ed Sheeran. And I really like Taylor Swift, and Future has put out some great stuff as well. But... the combination of those three, like, if I would have just told you there's going to be a song with Taylor Swift, Future, and Ed Sheeran, like, 5 years ago.
Yes, I know where you're going, and I agree with you, but I like the fact that they're all three so different, mm-hmm. and they do make it work. The song doesn't suck. It's not terrible. I will be honest. But we're talking about the music video.
We just watched the video I watched the video for the first time 5 minutes before we started recording this podcast. And that was the first time I've actually listened to the song all the way through. I listened and I stopped halfway the first time.
What kind of fan
are you? I'm clearly not a good one. And it's not the worst, but the video was really interesting, and the video was really well done and well directed, and it was cool how, they went from Miami to New York. Ed Sheeran was in the New York part, Future was here in Miami. Although I did hear rumors or a report at one point that Future didn't know who Taylor Swift was when she showed up to the recording of the video. Like,
I don't know.
I had seen it was like a E-News report of some kind, and I had seen.
How do you not know who? Maybe Taylor didn't know who Future was.
Maybe that's what it was, but either way, they bumped into it. Well, they walked up to each other, and Future was this is how I remember the report going. Fake news alert, everyone. Possibly, but
don't bring that up.
But Future apparently was just treating it like his own music video, even though it's her song, and so he just had everything set up for him and was just ignoring everything that Taylor Swift said.
That sounds kind of futuristic. Of him.
Oh god. Okay, so the video though.
The video. Back to the video. What are your thoughts? Because I love the video. I love the song. In case you couldn't gather that from this.
I will say that the video was well done, and for what the topic of the song is, they did a really good job in executing a cool, fun video without making it annoying. This song, with the way with what the topic is, and with how the artists that work together. So you like that she's
not just making out with guys all over
Yeah, well, it just sort of feels like this could have been a song and could have been a video that was very in your face and a little too much, and they did a good job of being I'm in Miami, I'm in New York, I'm really cool, without being
obnoxious.
Yeah, and that it could have gone there. So I think they did a really good job with the video, and that actually made me like the song more. So if you have listened to the song and you do like it, definitely check out the video. And if you have listened to the song and you don't like it, check out the video because maybe you will like the song. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I like both. So,
yeah,
you're
right.
preaching the
That's my
choir
point.
here.
All right. So, just so that everyone knows, Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. I think she's great.
And your favorite Taylor Swift song is?
Blank Space is arguably the best pop song ever written. Like, go really take a second, listen to it. It's not about the lyrics. Lyrics are fine. But in terms of crafting a song, coming up with a chord, all of it, it is just perfectly constructed. It's like you look at a piece of art and you're like, wow, there's nothing wrong with this. That's exactly how I feel about Blank Space, which is just a crazy hot take to make. Like, to say Blank Space is the best pop song ever written is insane, but it is. Just listen to it.
I have to stop you because I feel like people are going to be like, where does he think he knows what it takes to construct a song and all this stuff? Like, here we are talking about football and all this stuff. So why don't you explain to everyone the musical genius inside
musical
of
genius,
you?
sure. Just so that everyone understands. Well, first of all, I understand what I'm saying is ridiculous. I know. Blank
Admitting
Space
it is the first step. Okay?
Yeah, Blank Space. I'm gonna constantly this entire podcast as you listen and continue to listen. I'm going to say outlandish things. I also just said that the Steelers might be the biggest disappointment in the history of the NFL. The Bills lost 4 straight Super Bowls. The Falcons blew a 28-3 lead last year. Just those things on their own are examples off the top of my head.
The Bills were not as stacked.
No, not as well. Yeah, but
this
whatever.
Steelers team would beat that Bills.
Sure. Yes. Fine. Arrows. Anyway. I do sort of know music. I probably should have brought that up at the beginning. I write music. You can follow my music on Twitter.
Justin Timberlake, he would love for you to follow him.
Yeah,
if you're
hey Justin, if you're listening.
Although he did just say Taylor Swift has the best pop song.
Hold on a second.
So if I'm Justin Timberlake,
wow, hold on.
I have a bone to pick.
All right,
with you.
let's everyone calm down.
I'm a huge Justin Timberlake fan. In case you couldn't tell.
As am I. At JTache Music is my music Twitter if you want to follow, take a listen. JTACHE Music. You can find me on Spotify. I'm Jeremy Tache, TACHE. That's the last name. Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. I write music. I listen to music. That is what gives me the inkling in my own head of maybe I sort of know how a pop song should be written. Obviously, I'm not that good because you don't know who I am before this, but I sort of know how this is supposed to work. It's like the same reason I'm going to think I know everything about baseball because I played high school baseball. So,
you'll know more about me when it comes to that.
Literally constructing a song, that's why I think Blank Space is so good because they did a really good job of just piecing everything together. That is not the topic that we were going into this thinking about. I don't know how we got here.
We just spent 20 minutes
I don't know how I just
Taylor
gave an
Swift.
infomercial about my music. We'll get back to the sports in a second. Let's get into...
We're going to take that...
We're going to go into politics.
Downward spiral, are we?
All right. So... No, I'm going to get serious tone going.
I won't be serious with this.
Yeah.
But I will make my points.
So, my opinion... I don't
Should
know
we
if
start
this
with Oprah for 2020?
Sure, yeah. Oprah for 2020. Let's just start there, and then we'll segue.
So, all this Oprah running for 2020 because she made this great speech and all this stuff. So I want to ask you because I have gotten, it was obviously a big story in entertainment news all week.
Right.
People have said to me, like, I don't get it. Just because she made this really riveting speech, she deserves to be president? Like, how do we know? So what would you say to that? Like, yes, we don't know if she could do it, but we didn't know if the guy who's currently got the job could do it, and he won.
Donald Trump can't do it, as we've obviously seen, but we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. But
my question to you is, do you think this is too much hype of, Oprah 2020, she should win, or do you buy it?
All right, so it's complicated. There's a couple of angles to this, and I think about it a few ways. But the biggest thing is, number one, I am not a big fan of the celebrity running for president concept. I don't think it's currently working. I don't think that it is something that works for our country. There's a reason there are people within politics, but...
Well, hold on. You know Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, well...
Okay.
No.
All right, I just want to make sure.
Don't get me started on Ronald Reagan. Like, 22 years old. Anyway,
I want to make sure that you like knew the history.
Yeah, no, I
before you
understand,
said
but
something.
I'm not a big fan of the celebrity president.
Got it.
I think our president should be someone who has a history within politics, who understands policy, and has a proven track record within it. That being said, the leader of a country is someone that knows how to lead. Oprah knows how to evoke emotion, knows how to push all of the right buttons to make people feel. That's what you want in a leader, someone that is charismatic, someone that seems to be on the right side of history again and again and again. And Oprah has been there and been a constant representation of the good in America. She has an incredible story, as we all know.
Right.
And I mean, I watched that speech and I was nearly moved to tears. And
is that what you want from your president? Because you're a
what
millennial,
made-
and
right, so
you
what
are
made-
you and I are the future, let's
Yeah.
say, voters of this
right,
country,
and what's complicated is that, like, so what was so I loved President Barack Obama, still love President Barack Obama.
You miss
and
Barack.
I
miss
do.
Barack
I rock
too.
with Barack, and
Ooh, that was a good one.
I had a T-shirt that said it in 8th grade. So
8th grade?
that's when he was running in 08. I was in 8th grade. Let's
Oh
not talk
my
about it.
God.
Yeah, I know.
I feel old.
This was the first election I could vote in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it wasn't a great one. So, what made Obama so incredible, besides obviously like the policy, was what everyone loved about him was that he invoked our emotions. He was an incredible public speaker, and that's part of what everyone
rallied
looks
everyone,
for. Yeah, it's bringing people together. Oprah knows how to do that, right? She knows how.
But does
That
that
being said-
make a good president?
Not necessarily, because you need someone that understands the policy. And I don't know, maybe Oprah knows a lot more about this than I think. I have no idea. And maybe in the next couple of years, before a run would start, she's going to spend time studying up on it and learning. She is one of the brightest people in this nation and would know how to get there.
Do you
But
really think she wants that?
I don't think she wants to run. And I think this is a conversation that we're having that
for nothing.
we're wasting our breath,
yeah.
and we're having fun with it, but you know,
I guess
it's a fun topic.
I guess it boils down to like we need something to hold out hope
Yes.
for. So we're gonna use Oprah as our
And
hope.
Oprah, she is just so hopeful constantly, and that's why we
Yeah.
love her. That's why we love her, and she represents everything that is the opposite
Of
of
what
what we currently have,
Yeah,
which
I
is
agree.
why. And in some ways, though, it's kind of the same in that she was a TV personality, right? So that's what's interesting.
Yeah, but she
But it's
was
the
a TV,
opposite. It's the opposite mentality.
But she was a different type of TV
Right,
person.
but it's the-
like
it's
she
the-
had a job to deliver the truth and the
Yeah,
facts.
she's the
whereas
complete
in
opposite version of what we have.
a reality star.
Right. And
I get
speaking of that reality star, turns out, as most of us already knew, he's a racist.
Oh God, Jeremy.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. That's fine. You don't have to go there. I will. This is my opinion, not the opinion of the podcast. And that's fine. Donald Trump last night, there was a report that talked about how when referring to, I believe it was 54 different African countries, or not specifically.
Yeah, he basically said, called these countries shitholes.
Yes, and we're not going to censor ourselves here.
I don't have to censor myself.
Yeah.
I curse all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, he said shithole
Yeah, he
to
called
describe them.
a whole bunch of different countries shitholes. And then and so this was what was leaked. And it's
okay, before we even get into that,
Yeah.
the fact that it was leaked,
Mhm.
it's like, do you really think behind closed doors George W. Bush never dropped an F-bomb or called people anything?
Or Obama, for
or
that matter.
Obama, or Bill Clinton.
Uh-huh.
But like, yet we know this was said.
Well,
And it's
something like
why
that.
are the people that are supposed to be in the White, like obviously someone in the White House leaked it.
Mhm.
Why are the people who are supposed to be part of Team Trump that are
Mhm.
supposed to be making America great again?
Well, I think
Why are they the ones pushing this out there so that we become this, for lack of a better term, shitstorm of a country
yeah.
that like everyone is now laughing at? Like,
Yeah.
what are you gaining by leaking this? Okay, he said it. Everyone says
Mhm.
something stupid. Everyone we know how he feels. He's
Mhm.
not someone who's hid his emotions or his thoughts.
Right.
So whether you want to accuse him of being a racist or not, like
Mhm.
forget all of that. Like
how is this getting out?
Why are you leaking this and
Yeah,
making this the story when you guys have so many other fish to fry and so many bigger fires to put out? Like, you're just adding fuel to every single fire without putting them out. You're just, instead of throwing water on them, you're just adding more oil. And it's like, where is the team behind the president?
I don't know if this was leaked by a Democrat that was in one of these meetings or not. I honestly would need to read. Whether you are or not, it doesn't matter.
This is nothing.
It's just
to
people
do with
within politics. The fact that this is getting out, and it's people within our political system that are infiltrating this into the news. But
by doing all this, listen, obviously I don't agree with what he said.
Yeah.
But by doing this, you're making a mockery of politics and government, and you're not, like, I mean, we're the younger generations. We're the ones who are supposed to be engaged in politics and carry the country and through elections and this. I don't want to hear about this stuff.
Right.
I don't want to hear that he said this and that this is all I'm going to hear for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Until the next thing happens.
Right.
Like,
well,
where are we to talk about jobs or to talk, like, which, as the current administration, you should be putting out.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. This information's always getting out, and it's always a distraction from all of the other stuff that's been happening. But this is important. But there's a difference here today with this and some of the other stuff that's been happening over the last few weeks, where we've heard, like, oh, this moment happened, or he said this, or he said that, or there's been, over the last week, people have been questioning his fitness to even be in office because of his
which is so stupid.
His early onset dementia that we all kind of think might maybe be there. I don't know. But here's a perfect example of why this is important. Because in the span of time here, he's demeaned women. He said that Mexicans were criminals and rapists. He said that basically all Muslims are evil terrorists. We should keep them out of our country.
So ridiculous.
He called Puerto Ricans lazy. He said Nigerians live in huts. Yeah. He said all Haitians have AIDS. And now he called an array of African countries shitholes. This guy, and then, mind you, not only said that, but then said, why don't we take more people from Norway? Are you noticing a difference in what the people from Norway look like compared to the people from Africa?
Yeah, no.
Listen,
I'm not naive to where his
No, of course. I know what you're talking about, and I know what you're saying, but and I don't disagree that it's frustrating as an American citizen to be a laughingstock. And now the guy is too afraid to go to another country that he canceled. He canceled a meeting in London.
He's pissed off everybody in every country.
Everybody hates him.
Except for Norway.
Yeah, except for Norway. But anywhere within this country, I mean, within the world right now, the United States and Donald Trump, more so than the United States, has become a laughingstock. And the reason is because we haven't seen something like this in the United States. People are constantly trying to compare, constantly trying to say they've seen something like this. We've been here before. There's this, there's that. There's people making excuses. No, there's no excuse for behavior like this. There's no excuse for speaking like this. There's no excuse for any of it. And the reason, whether it was Democrat or Republican, the reason somebody leaked this out and this information got out is to prove a point of that this guy should not be in charge, should not be the face of this country.
But the fact is that he is. And the fact is, whether you agree how it all went down or not, listen, I'm a woman. I obviously voted for Hillary Clinton because I'm not going to vote for someone who, I work in news, trashes my job, trashes my gender.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Jewish. He really didn't go out of his way to support Jews either.
Oh, yeah, he called Nazis very nice people.
Right,
but whatever,
exactly.
You know.
So I obviously have my beef. But the point is, like, you're making a reality show out of the presidency, and it's not just, I mean, yeah, it's him. He is the one saying these dumb
things. But it's not just about him.
But where are you to put some sort of control on it and say, listen, we're not going to put this out there.
Right.
We want to put out there the fact that he's not drilling oil off the coast of Florida, which is a good thing for us. We live in Florida. Like, and I'm not defending.
Where's the team? No, I know what you're saying.
I'm not defending him, but it's like,
you're just wondering where the rest of his PR team is. To basically, where's the rest of our leadership within the administration to be able to get the right message out there?
What's up?
You're gone.
What's up with your president?
That's
he's
perfect.
Not my president, he's yours.
No, he ain't mine.
For what it's worth, that was one of our coworkers.
That was amazing.
If only that was on video, that would have been
so much
fantastic.
better. What's up with your president?
Anyway,
not my president.
no. So my point is,
so good.
my point is, and I mean, I guess I am considered a millennial, so like I throw myself in this mix, but it's like I want someone who's going to do something that's going to benefit me and make my future better.
Yeah.
And by listening to this crap, because I can't think of any other way to describe it.
I know it is.
It's like we know how he feels. This is no surprise to us. We've known how he has felt about certain races and certain beliefs and things for years before he ever ran for president.
Yeah.
But the point is, you're enabling. I mean, you're encouraging this stupid behavior.
Okay.
Because what you're doing is he's loving the fact that he's a headline. He's a reality star.
Yeah.
He loves seeing his name on that banner, no matter what comes after it.
Yeah.
And so my point is, yeah, it's disgusting what he said. He's also a product of America's immigration policy. His father immigrated here from Europe.
Yeah, his wife immigrated here.
2 of his wives.
Yeah. Right.
2 of his 3 wives are immigrants.
Yeah.
So, you know, if he wasn't a product of that, he'd never be a billionaire and let alone be the president of the United States. Yeah. So you think he doesn't know that? Of course he knows that. Of course he knows the only reason he has money and power is because his father moved here from Europe. He's saying these things to get this reaction, to spark this outrage, and he loves the fact that we're all sitting here talking about him.
Well, and the reality isn't where you say he's saying these things because he loves a reaction. Donald Trump was elected because of this type of behavior. Let's not beat around.
And his supporters are not going to sit there and disagree with what he says.
Right. Well, and but some might. There's
that's where the problem.
There's people. Look, there are some people that voted for Donald Trump that just turned a blind eye to this. There's no way you didn't see it, right? So either there are a few ways that you could have voted for Donald Trump or could still be supporting Donald Trump. It's not just about if you voted for him. There are a few ways you could still be supporting him. Either you're just not paying attention. So you supported him at one point. But you'd have to be living
under a rock.
But some people do. And I actually know some people that just choose to live under a rock and ignore all of it. And they just ignore it. And they live their lives, their own personal lives. And if they think it's benefiting them, that's it. So there are some people that just actually don't know what's happening. There are some people that are willfully ignorant and are seeing it and just trying not to process it. There are some people that support it, that listen to that type of statement and say, heck yeah, and agree. And then there are some people that see it, hear it, recognize it, and because of the own personal benefit that they can have with Donald Trump being in office, or any Republican for that matter being in office in terms of tax codes or whatever it might be, they see it, they know what's happening, and they're just saying, well, it's not really affecting me, so they're turning a blind eye. And those, to me, are almost even worse than the people agreeing. Because the people agreeing are clearly just ignorant and have no life experience. I'm a 22-year-old guy. I've lived in a mostly...
He's got a long life experience.
I'm 22. No, but this is my point. I'm 22. I lived in a, honestly, mostly white neighborhood most of my life. I don't have a whole laundry list of experience. But in the experience and life that I have seen, I know that people are people. It's frustrating to be at this point and feel so genuinely helpless. Like there's nothing we can do to stop it, besides just hope that in 2018 we're able to reverse course in our elections.
Well, yeah, but that's not gonna.
That doesn't do it overnight.
His supporters are
it's
still
nothing.
Be
right, these people are still out here.
Yeah,
right.
Those people that voted for him are still gonna be there in 2018.
Right.
The point is that politics was a turn-off subject before Trump ran.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's even worse.
Yeah, and it's also become reality TV.
And I'm someone who's been embedded in politics my entire life. Like, I mean, at 6 years old, I was at presidential campaigns.
Heck yeah, you were.
We can get into that later. Yeah. But like, I am someone who's passionate about politics, and I am so turned off by the fact that this is what's taking center stage.
Yeah, I mean, I have an example.
Yo,
what's up,
Donovan?
Yo,
how we doing?
Chilling. Y'all podcasting?
Yeah,
I'm trying to record now.
Oh.
I stole your paper.
Okay.
But yeah, so
from your pad.
I think before we move on from from this topic.
Can we move on from this
Yeah,
topic?
and the last thing I'll say is like what you just said, where you're so turned off by what politics has become. I had multiple friends just text me last night that were basically saying like, "What are we supposed to do?
We live in a shithole, is what it is.
but
That's the point here.
How are we supposed to deal with this guy? Like, and what do
Get
we
out
do?
and
it's
vote
so
and
frustrating.
change the fact
Right,
that these
but it's what
people
you
in
just
Middle
talked
America
about,
are voting.
where people are so turned off, and it's not. I mean, yes, predominantly it was Middle America, but there are people all over this country
Right.
that are
No,
voting.
yeah.
Wherever.
No, I say
no,
Middle
I know,
America
but that's
just 'cause-
well, because that's most of the people
Yeah.
that voted for him.
Basically,
But
Uncle Buck came out alive and well.
yes,
Motherfuckers that
That's-
were racist that you didn't know were racist said fuck.
Yeah, I think
that's Donovan, our
I
other
think
coworker.
I think that Donovan has a point. We really thought that racism in America was a lot less prevalent than it is.
Until the
Clearly,
last- yeah.
it's still very much alive,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of stuff that we have to do to change that. Now on to the
College
next topic.
football. Yeah.
Back to Jeremy and UCF.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. All right, so last week.
I'm just gonna let you talk about this.
All right, so college football playoff happened. College football invitational, the SEC regional championship game, whatever you want to call it. College football playoff happened this weekend. Alabama beat Georgia for the national championship. Congrats to Alabama. Good
Phenomenal
for you guys.
game.
Great game. I mean, actually, really terrible game until like the last quarter. I mean, it wasn't entertaining until the end, but great game. Congratulations, Alabama. You're more talented than everybody. It's set up so that you can be that way. So, the biggest discussion that has happened revolving all of this is a couple of things. Number one, there was a quarterback change in the national championship game. Get into that in a second. But number two, University of Central Florida has decided to claim the national championship as well.
Governor Scott agrees with this, by the way.
It is law. It is law. I will make a citizen's arrest in this state if someone tells me that UCF is not the national
Well,
champion.
he signed a
That's what I'm saying.
proclamation, so if the governor
It's real.
signs a letter,
That's what I'm saying. So UCF's claiming a national championship. They were undefeated this season, did not lose, then beat Auburn, who beat both Alabama and Georgia, the two teams playing for the national championship game. From the beginning of all of this, from right before UCF's end of their season, UCF ended the season with University of South Florida and then playing in a conference championship against Memphis. Before that, a lot of UCF fans were kind of up in arms about their ranking from the college football playoff. They started at 18, won 5 games in a row, and only moved up to 12. There were teams with 3 losses ahead of them, including Stanford, Mississippi State, Michigan State at different times, all teams that were not nearly as good as UCF, but because they were in Power 5 conferences and we were looking at schedules that way, they were ranked ahead of UCF, which was fair at the given
Basically,
time.
UCF fans are upset that they didn't get any
Have an
love
opportunity.
in the polls.
Right, and so initially going into the college football playoff, a lot of UCF fans understood why we were not included in the top 4 to be in the college football playoff. Not necessarily understanding why you're ranked as low as 12 as an undefeated team, but understanding we weren't going to be in top 4. There were a lot of great teams that were excluded. It happens. That's fine. But you go on to beat Auburn, who was a powerhouse all season long. They had the toughest schedule in the country. They end up with 4 losses, but their losses are to Georgia, with Clemson and Notre Dame, and then UCF. Like all top 20 teams. All maybe top 15 teams. I don't know where Notre Dame finished. But Auburn was a great team that could beat anybody. They beat the 2 teams playing for the national championship. So UCF has claimed this national championship, and I am all about it. I think what a lot of people don't understand in the way that UCF has gone about this is that UCF is claiming a national championship in the same way that teams have claimed national championships for years and years and years and years.
Notre Dame finished 11.
Notre Dame finished 11, so look at that. It's all top 11 teams that they lost to. So UCF did receive some first-place votes in the AP poll, 4 to be precise. There's 4 first-place votes. And the reason they're claiming a national championship is that they went undefeated and they didn't have an opportunity in this subjective, not objective, subjective poll to end up in the college football playoff. And claiming a national championship is something that we've done in college football throughout history. Like, UCF is not the first team to do this. And they have all the right as anybody else to claim a national championship because of this subjective thing. It's like you have to be invited, and the way that it all works is the Power 5 conferences are the only ones represented within this committee. Like, UCF is not a Power 5 conference team. They're a group of 5 team. They're not going to get
is your
invited
beef,
to this playoff.
Is your beef the
Mhm.
fact that the conference doesn't get a chance, or the team was shown
The system
a lack of
is
respect?
rigged, and I am the only one who can fix it. No,
Wow.
that's exactly where we're standing, and it's the group of 5 didn't get a fair shake in all of this. There was no respect for teams like USF and Memphis and what those wins were. Those teams, if you look at the schedules simply of Alabama and UCF, Alabama who went on to win the whole thing. Alabama's best wins came against LSU and Mississippi State. This year specifically, you can't tell me that those teams were so significantly better than Memphis or USF. You just, I won't even accept the argument. They were better, but they were not significantly better than those teams that UCF beat. And if you look at Alabama's schedule, they played cupcakes all year long. They beat a 6-loss team in Mercer, a 6-loss FSU team, a 6-loss Colorado State team, and a 4-loss Fresno State team. Then they beat 8-loss Tennessee, 8-loss Arkansas, 7-loss Vanderbilt, 6-loss Ole Miss, 6-loss Texas A&M, and then they beat Mississippi State and LSU.
So you're saying Alabama was just written
Alabama
in,
played nobody.
and they
But
were just
because they're
written in.
Alabama and they have the reputation that they have, they had 1 loss. They didn't even have to play in their conference championship game and got in. Alabama's a great team, probably the best in the country. But if at the end of the year we're trying to pick the 4 best teams that have earned it not only based off of being reputation, but having the best season.
But reputation shouldn't get you into it.
It's an individual
I mean,
season.
reputation doesn't get the Patriots automatically into the Super Bowl.
Right. I kind of, honestly, if we're going to do it that way, we should do it the same way in the NFL. Who wants to watch the Titans play? They should have never made the playoffs. It should have been the Chargers because they're more fun and more interesting and a better team.
Marcus
But the
Mariota
Titans
may
won.
have something to say.
Yeah, that's
about
fine, but
that.
they're bad. They were outscored this season, but they got in because it's about wins and losses. And the only undefeated team in the country didn't get a chance to play for a national championship, which is why they're claiming it. But when you're looking at the college football playoff, and I'm sorry to continue
they
this
are
rant,
the championship winning team in Florida.
No,
At
the
least
best team in
Florida
Florida.
acknowledges that
Yeah.
they are.
The most interesting parts, though, about the national championship invitational SEC game was that you had a quarterback benched on it that had been 25-2 in his career. That's Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a situation now where he's probably never going to play ever again for Alabama because this guy Tua, who I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm not even going to try.
But talk about stepping up and showing up.
Oh, it was amazing, and he's a true freshman, and he had an unbelievable game. But Jalen Hurts is now in a position where he can't transfer because he's going to have to sit out a year. And if he tries to transfer one of these schools with a star quarterback that's coming in, like he's stuck. And maybe he'll transfer, maybe he won't. But this poor kid who was 25-2 now is in this situation where
no one wants him.
he's
No one
just
can get
yeah,
him,
it's
even if they want him.
it's this complicated spot. But the most interesting part of the game to me was that you had Jalen Hurts and Tua lead Alabama to a national championship, and this is, I believe, the first non-white quarterback to win a national championship at Alabama to start the game.
You're probably
and
right
Jalen
about
Hurts and Tua, and Tua unfortunately is about to become Tim Tebow, and that
Oh, that's bold.
yeah, no, but it stinks because
He'll get a great job broadcasting.
no, but
somewhere.
he's a superstar. He's gonna be really, really, really good. He's this nice religious kid. He's a lefty. He can run around. He's going to win multiple championships. He just won this one as a freshman, the same way Tebow was a huge part of them winning when he was a freshman. He's going to win multiple championships. He seems like a super nice guy, and we're going to build him up and build him up. He's already the front runner for the Heisman next season. He played a half. He played 1 half of football, and he's the front runner for the Heisman. And we're going to build him up and build him up and build him up, and then tear him down. And it's going to be a shame.
That's what we do.
Because that's what we do. And that's the most interesting storyline to me that came out of this, is that we now have our next Tim Tebow. And I don't know what you think about that. I just kind of went on a rant and didn't really give you a chance to speak.
It's okay. You're the UCF kid. I don't know how I feel about that because I never thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about comparing him to Tebow, but Tim Tebow's done well for himself. So,
Yeah, I mean, he's doing well. He can only
I'm sure
hope.
there's a lot of people that wish they were Tim Tebow.
Mm-hmm. I just hope that we don't lump too many expectations on this kid from the start. Although that's what we do.
I think we should watch and see what he does
Mm-hmm.
next year before we start, like...
Right, but he was the 5-star all-world recruit. Now he's quarterbacking at the national championship, or the national championship winning team. You know, it's there's a lot of pressure there, and it'll be interesting to see the way that he handles it, the way that
he
Jalen
doesn't
Hurts
care
handles
about
it behind
clearly
him.
the pressure doesn't bother him, because if he stepped up the way he did in that game, it clearly does not faze him the way you would think. So do I think he'll step up to the plate again? Yeah, but let's wait and see. I mean,
all right. It'll be
we
interesting.
have a whole college football season to let it play out.
Right, and it'll be interesting to see the way it plays out for them, the way it plays out for UCF next year with a new coach.
How do you feel about this coaching change?
I mean, I'm not happy. I'm not happy that Scott Frost left. He built up this program, and now he's leaving. But at the same
it's his
time,
kid. It's like kind of like Mark Rick with Georgia. It's his kids.
Oh, they're all still there. Yeah, no,
they'll all still be there.
They were all freshmen and sophomores this year.
Right.
I mean, the quarterback's still back for another year or two.
Team.
They're all there. This team is going to be great next season, and Coach Heupel,
great. That's going out on a limb.
Likely undefeated again.
I'm going to hold you to this.
That's fine. Hold me to it. This team, if they lose a game, I wouldn't be shocked. But if they lose more than one game, I'd be surprised.
But you said undefeated.
Right, but I'm saying if they lose more than one game, I'd be shocked, and I think they will go undefeated. Because they're that talented. These kids are all young. This entire team, they're losing their best corner, they're losing their best pass rusher, and they're losing one of their best receivers. So that's going to affect this team. But loaded with talent. I mean, loaded with talent. And again, it's not the best schedule. No one's saying UCF would have gone undefeated in the SEC or the ACC or any of those conferences, but they wouldn't have needed to get to a national championship game. Last topic of conversation on this podcast. Bring it back to Miami. We're going to talk about the Miami Heat.
Oh my God, I forgot about the Heat.
Are 7 games over 500 in sole possession of 4th place.
And 2 games behind LeBron James's Cavs.
I love it. What do you think about the Heat season so far?
I don't know what to think, because I really didn't think they'd be this good. Sorry, I'm a huge Heat fan, but I didn't think they'd be this good. I think the Dion Waiters news is going to eventually hurt them. I know they've been playing...
Dion Waiters having season-ending ankle surgery.
I know that they have been playing well without him, but that guy is so clutch when you need him. It's just like you can't replace that. When you're down 5 points with a minute left and he's draining threes like that, I don't see anyone else on this team doing that. I mean, as consistently as he was able to do it for this team.
Except for Wayne Ellington, who all of a sudden is better than Steph Curry.
But will he be able to do that
all season long?
All season long, and when it really means something. If you're in a playoff game, is it really gonna? Do
you want to be relying on Wayne Ellington?
I know, I don't. But that being said, I'm glad that this team is doing as well as they're doing, because there was so much doubt and negativity.
Right.
And I think that they're really kind of like Brady and Belichick. They're like playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they're proving themselves. And I like that.
It's interesting. They've won, I think, 13 out of their last 17, playing with like 6 players a game. I mean, everybody's been injured.
That's true.
Everybody's been injured.
Half the team can't walk. The other half can't lift their arms.
Derek Jones Jr. wasn't on this team for most of the season. Came in, started 2 games at the shooting guard, and they won both of those games. Like, it's insane. This kid's 20 years old. He played well. Derek Walton Jr. has played well. A couple of 2-way contracts. James Johnson's been out significantly. Hassan Whiteside's been out significantly. Justice Winslow's been out. Dion Waiters is out now for the entire season. Goran Dragic has missed time, and yet
Tyler Johnson's missing teeth.
He's and missing games, and they still have found a way to win throughout all of it, and are in a position where, if you look at it, over their last 82 games, they're 54. They've won 54 of them. They've won 54 of their last 82. That's a full season.
Yeah.
And they've won 54 of those games. With injuries, with change of roster, if I would have told you going into this season that Hassan Whiteside would have so far a bad season. Like, he's had some good games.
He's missed more games than he's played.
Right. But that's my point. Thus far, Hassan Whiteside has not had a good season because of injuries and because of, at times, lackluster play, at times good play, but between the games he's missed and the games he's played poorly, he's had a bad season. Dion Waiters has missed most of the season and wasn't that good when he was playing. Dragic had a stretch there where he was horrendous, and the Heat are 7 games over 500. Like, you go into the playoffs.
They find ways to win. And I think that in an NBA season that's as long as it is, listen, look at the Spurs last night. They got blown out by the Lakers. Like, if you find ways to win,
Coach,
all it takes is 1 point.
Spoelstra needs a lot of credit.
He does deserve a lot of credit, because when the big three were here and everyone's like, oh, anybody could coach those three and win championships. Like, this is not that team.
Not even close.
And he is doing a phenomenal job of making sure they end up in the winners column.
This team is full of a bunch of guys that are all basically the same level of player. There's like 10 to 15 guys on this roster that are all the same level. They're all like middle of the road players, but he's getting them to play well together. They're not a 3-point shooting team, but yet they're shooting a ton of threes and just hoping the law of averages works out for them to score more points than the other team. They're playing incredible defense with a couple of good defenders, but more team defense than anything. And when it comes down to the playoffs, you always look for the teams with stars. But I legitimately feel that this team can compete with anybody in the East, maybe besides Cleveland, who has LeBron James at the end of it, although they're playing bad basketball right now. But LeBron always figures it out.
Sounds like they've got some locker room issues to straighten out.
They'll figure it out eventually. In 2 weeks from now, we'll be hearing that LeBron is, tweeting this and subtweeting that and, hates this guy and he's leaving and whatever. And they'll still win the East and they'll still be fine. But when you look at this roster as presently constructed, it'll be interesting to see if Riley tries to make a move at the deadline, because that's what Pat Riley always tries to do. But if
sorry, I'm not laughing at that.
No, it's but if the Heat are able to figure out a way to get into a position where they can have home court advantage in the first round, I wouldn't be shocked to see them go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I don't think they end up with first round.
And we'll see.
I mean, I know as it stands now, they're fourth. They play 2 home games.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think it's the second half of the
believing
season.
in the Heat.
I do believe in the Heat.
Culture.
I'm a huge Heat fan. I am. I'm a huge Heat fan.
All about the culture.
Everyone that knows me knows I'm a Heat fan. I just think that the competition, you have guys.
It eventually wears you out when you don't have a star.
Yeah,
is what you're trying to say.
Not necessarily that you need a star, but I just feel like experienced teams are going to rise up to the occasion.
So the Raptors and the Wizards and teams like that.
Yeah, like they're gonna start putting it all out there because they're gonna want those playoff spots, and I just don't know that the Heat are gonna be able to compete with that when it comes down to it.
And we shall see. But
they have a game on Sunday that they're gonna win.
Yeah, go Heat. Anyway, all right, that was our podcast. We just did that.
Congratulations. We
did it.
Accomplished our first hour of talking to each other.
Yeah, it was a lot. I had a great time.
I'm sure you did. You talked about UCF a lot.
I did. Thanks for listening, everyone. Keep listening. Don't know what our name is yet. You'll figure that out.
We're nameless, unless you have a good name.
Or maybe we'll have a name by the time we post it. So, thank you for listening. I'm Jeremy. This was Genna. And listen again next week.
Yeah, next week. Same time, same place.
All right.